Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu to you ladies of Spain. Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg and based on the novel by Peter Benchley, is a film that I thought I had seen, but I guess I hadn't. I guess because it's regarded as a classic, and because I'd seen a couple of the Jaws sequels on TV, I just assumed that I had seen it, but I hadn't. Luckily, I rectified that as I saw a re-release of the film on the big screen, the way the film was intended to be shown, and oh yeah, this movie's amazing. This film is excellent. There are two things that really amaze me about this movie. One is that this is Steven Spielberg's second feature film, and that's just insane to me. How did he make a movie this good second time round? And the second thing that amazed me was just how short the credits were. I guess I'm just used to seeing the lengthy credits of modern day blockbusters, but the fact that this movie's credits last less than 2 minutes is astonishing, because it just reveals how little people worked on this movie, and just it's so impressive. This film really just solidified my opinion that Steven Spielberg is probably the greatest filmmaker of all time. I love him. The story for this film is incredibly simple. A shark has infested the beach of Amity Island. Police Chief Brody wants to shut the beaches down, but the mayor overrules him in order to take advantage of the holiday revenue. When innocents die, Brody along with oceanographer Hooper and Captain Quint attempt to kill the beast before it kills them. That's really it. That's the story for this film. It's like the old saying goes, it's simple, but it's damn well effective. The film doesn't waste time bogging the audience down with irrelevant subplots or filler moments. It literally does all it needs to do with these characters to make sure that when they go out and hunt down this shark, you're scared for their lives and you want them to survive. When I now think of the movie Jaws, I simply think of one word. Tension. Steven Spielberg manages to take such a simple premise, a shark attacking a bunch of innocent swimmers, and makes it incredibly tense. Well, I guess he also is playing upon the vicious nature of sharks, but regardless of all that, he still makes it incredibly tense. My favourite example of this is the beach scene at the beginning of the film. The way Steven Spielberg paces this scene is simply masterful. We're put in the mind space of Chief Brody. We're expecting something bad to happen, and the fact that the scene manages to put you at ease just before the shark kills the Kittner boy is just truly awesome filmmaking. Especially when we get that great dolly zoom to emphasize Brody's reaction. It's so cool. And when Brody, Quint, and Hooper go out to kill the shark, it's just incredibly entertaining. But it's not simply just the fact that they're going to kill a shark. It's the fact that it's full of great character moments and conflict. Brody isn't too familiar with sailing and hates the water. Quint and Hooper are at odds due to their class difference, which leads to some really great comedic moments from Richard Dreyfuss. And obviously, the greatest source of conflict is the fact that the shark is insane and starts to break the boat apart. The whole sequence where they have to harpoon the barrels onto the shark is incredibly fantastic, especially since Robert Shaw's Captain Quint is amazing in that scene. Come on, Hooper! 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 It's thrilling, it's tense, and it's everything you want from a scene like this. And for a film that's really tense, it's also incredibly funny, and I love that. Especially some of the visual jokes, like the one we get with Ellen Brody. That scene is just fantastic.
He's not on the ocean, he is in a boat. He's not gonna go in the water. I don't think he'll ever go in the water again after what happened yesterday.
But I want him to read the boating regulations, the rules, before he goes out on his own.
Michael! Did you hear your father? Out of the water now! Now!
Now, I really like the characters in this movie, which I find to be very funny since I've heard that in the novel all the characters are supposed to be really unlikable. Chief Brody is portrayed well by Roy Scheider, and he's a really well developed character. He wants to do the right thing in closing the beaches, but because the mayor forces his hand not to, he ends up feeling incredibly guilty for when the Kittner boy is killed. I also like little details about his character, like how he doesn't like the water at all and he's inexperienced on a ship. It just makes the final sequence in this film really entertaining and interesting that he has to set all of this aside in order to go out and hunt down the shark with Quint and Hooper. Speaking of Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss's Hooper is my favourite character of the movie. He's fun, he's quick-witted, and he makes some fantastically weird faces. It's so good. And of course, if we're speaking about the main cast, Martin Shaw as Captain Quint, what a character. He is the real MVP of this movie. I love that Quint essentially portrays himself as this mad old sailor, when in actuality it's the complete opposite. He's quick-witted, he's quick-thinking, he's methodical and calculating. He's just such a great character and I love him. His introduction scene is really atmospheric. The way he just sits back and lets all the officials squabble about what to do with the shark until he gets bored and grabs their attention by scraping his hand across a chalkboard is just such a great entrance for his character. I'll get you the head, the tail, the whole damn thing. Do you know what? It's just a shame that he dies. Can we take a moment of silence for the mad old sailor?
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, dear ladies of Spain.
My favourite character moment is when the three of them are sitting in the cabin at night, comparing scars and singing. It's just such a nice moment before everything inevitably goes wrong. Everything this film does with the shark is terrifying. From the use of the POV shots, which are incredibly effective, as not only does it build tension, but it also puts you directly in the shark's perspective, to Spielberg's insistence on not showing the shark until directly after the first half of the film, and instead using things like the barge or the barrels to substitute for the shark, which I think really helps to make the reveal of the actual shark more terrifying. And the use of the real life sharks during the cage scene is just really scary. Now, speaking of the animatronic shark, I think it looks quite good. I have no idea what Marty McFly is talking about in Back to the Future 2 when he says,
Shark still looks fake.
Like, Marty McFly, you're wrong. The shark's great, it looks great, it's terrifying. Now, when you talk about Jaws, someone is inevitably going to bring up John Williams' score. Na na, na na, na 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 na. And for good reasons. Now that I've seen it in context with the film, it's fantastic. From now on, every time I hear that theme, I'll get a slight little twinge of anxiety every time I hear it, just because of how frightening the theme actually is. It's simple, it's effective, and it just really completes the film. Overall, I love this movie, and I 100% understand why people adore it and regard it as a masterpiece. Because it is. It's fantastic. I also think another reason why I remember this film very fondly is that I went and saw the re-release with my mum, and it was just such a great time because she's obviously seen this movie like 1,000 times, and every time the shark came up, she kept screaming like really loudly, and I just found that to be really funny, and it just really enhanced my experience. I mean, she made other people jump in the cinema with how loud her screaming was. That was really funny. But yeah, that's what I think of the movie Jaws. It's fantastic, it's amazing, I love it. But what do you guys think? Leave me a comment down below. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell down there. My social media links are also down in the description, so if you give them a look and follow, that'd be very nice. I have the second channel where I make short films, so if you take a look, that'd be much appreciated. And until we meet again, I'll see you guys next time.